Brooke Bednar's in for the voice of the Bears, John Morris, tonight. And joining me is Mr. Joey McGuire, Associate Head Coach of the Baylor football team. Thanks for coming out here and chatting with us this week on such a big week.
Thanks for having me. Thanks.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Well, we cannot start this. We were both at the game last night. We have to give a lot of credit to the Baylor volleyball team coming out. You walked in and the first thing you said is, "This is crazy."
Oh.
What was that like to be there and to see that, the energy from McLean just kind of transferred right into what we're calling Baylor Texas Week?
Well, what's incredible is our student body. Coach Rule said it on Monday of the atmosphere we had against OU, and then whenever you come in and you watch the volleyball game, it was phenomenal. I went in and the hairs on my arms started standing up, and for us to finish it off and beat Texas, that was a huge deal for Baylor.
And Coach McGuire, the other Coach McGuire, Ryan McGuire,
yes.
He
spells it wrong. So
we'll send him a note.
There you go.
But he talked a lot and gave a lot of credit to the football team and just how you guys have persevered and kind of continued to build and to fight through adversity and everything like that. And he actually took that and implemented it into his team. So to know that the Baylor family across the athletic department is kind of feeding off of each other and what you guys do as a football program, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, this is one of the greatest things about being a Baylor Bear. We're good at everything, and it's a lot of fun to be around those student athletes and the way they interact in the bank and the way they interact on campus. And so I think we are feeding off of each other. I sent Coach a text today and told him congratulations, and that was the first thing he said. He goes, "Man, we learned a lot from y'all, just how y'all been fighting through everything." And so that's a lot of fun, and it makes us proud as a football program that people are taking notice.
They are taking notice, and something else that a lot of people are taking notice of is how big this week's game is. It's against Texas. The Longhorns are coming to town, but more importantly for the Baylor family, it is Senior Day.
Right.
We have a large group of seniors, 19 guys that are going to be recognized. Just talk about the overall impact of this senior class. They've been through a lot. Most of them have had 3 different head coaches.
Right.
So to get them to this point, to have had the season that they've had so far as a coach for them, what does that mean?
Well, I love them, and I'll tell you, Coach Rule's going to say the same thing, and, he's talked about them a lot, but what a special group. Like you said, they've had 3 different head coaches that came in, and we were all here a part of that first year of 1-11, and they just kept fighting. They were there every Monday to go to practice. We strain these guys. They're going to class every day, and there's a class check on every single class, so they're not missing class. They're doing a great job in the classroom, and there was a lot of opportunities for those guys because we have some really good football players that are seniors, and they could have left, and they didn't. And they believed in what Coach Rule put in place and the process, and they're reaping the benefits. And I think what you're going to see is they're going to reap the benefits on Saturday and then as we end this season. But there's going to be a lot of guys who are going to have a chance to play on Sunday because they did go through this program and they did fight through everything that they had to be a part of. And so it's a lot of fun. It's going to be, I've already told you, I'll probably get teared up because I love these guys. First guy I ever met was Sam Tecklenburg, and, what's funny, we got some guys like this that are seniors. What's funny is he was in my room. I was a tight ends coach, and here's Big Sam, and the next thing you know, he's playing tackle in the spring game, and then, now guard and center.
Yeah,
so,
and you switched over.
Yes.
Unfortunately, since you guys have been here, we haven't had a win on Senior Day.
Right.
Why do you think that that's going to be able to change this week?
Well, that's tough because we've had some good seniors. Last year's group was incredible, and then that first year's group. Taylor Young and the stuff that they had to, fight through. We need to go win for a lot of reasons on Saturday, but they're part of it. For them their last game at McLean, them playing in front of a home crowd that's going to be sold out. It's very important for us to go win on Saturday.
Absolutely. You used to coach the tight ends, and now you're on the defensive side of the ball. Talk a little bit about the specific defensive seniors that you guys work with day in and day out. You've known one of them for quite some time.
I have. I've been blessed to coach two seniors in Bravion Roy, who has had a phenomenal year. He was dominant last Saturday. He's really been dominant in every game. And then James Lockhart. And, James, special to my heart. He's right down the road. I was at Cedar Hill, and he was at Ennis, and knew his head coach really well and whenever he made the choice to leave A&M, I got, soon as it was, legal to start talking to him, I started calling him and him calling me and getting him to try to get him to come to Baylor.
Absolutely. Well, what about just kind of looking into the way this game is going to unfold? What's the mentality like in message when it is senior day and you kind of, Coach has been talking about, to the younger guys, just give us these 14 extra days or however many it is because the seniors deserve so much. Have you felt them kind of feed off that message?
Well, I think that's one thing that's great with this team, and it really truly is a team. You could see that back in May whenever they came back. They missed each other. When we started summer one, I mean, they really missed each other. So this is a team, and I think they really care about each other, and they care about these seniors. I mean, they're like their older brothers. And so I think we've had a great week of practice. Coach Rule's done a phenomenal job of getting us prepared and taking some stuff off our body because it was a really physical game against OU, but also getting prepared to be physical on Saturday. I think you're going to see the younger guys really play for these guys, and the seniors are going to play for each other and play for these coaches. I know I'm excited for Saturday.
We are, and we are excited to keep things going here, but we're going to take a quick break, but we will be right back with more of the Baylor Coaches Show live from Rudy's in just a couple of minutes. Welcome back to Baylor Coaches Show live from Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue. We are here with a great crowd getting ready for this Texas football game this weekend, here with Coach McGuire, associate head coach. And we just talked a lot about the senior defensive guys, but let's talk about just overall this defensive group. You guys switched from four-man front to a three-man front. How do you feel that's going so far?
It's going pretty good.
Yeah,
I think we're playing good defense. There's I know there was a couple of stats out this week that how many categories we're leading the league in defense, and I think the guys, I mean, they're fun to watch play. I hope the crowd and the fans really enjoy what they're doing because they fly around. I mean, it's a physical defense. We play fast, and we have a lot of guys that are playing at a real high level.
A lot of guys playing at a high level with a lot of depth to that position. It's not just those big three making those big plays, but there's a lot of guys getting in there. What's the benefit of when you guys switch to the three and you guys are flying at the ball, flying around, to have that depth?
Well, Coach Rule, it's Coach Rule and Coach Snow. They got together and they looked at our personnel and, how we could get the most speed on the field how we could get the most experience on the field. And I think you're seeing the benefits. And then you're also seeing, I mean, I know it crushed everybody whenever Clay got hurt. It killed me because I love the kid. And it was one of the deals, somebody was going to step up. And I think you're seeing a guy like Terrell Bernard the last few weeks just play as well as anybody in the nation. He has. And, you know, got hurt and came back in and played the rest of the OU game. Is going to be ready for Saturday. So you see a lot of guys like that. We've got a lot of depth on defense in the secondary and the young guys up front, and we're playing a lot of guys, and that helps us play fast.
A big goal that you guys have always focused on, and we'll get to the turnovers in a second because we know you're Mr. Turnover Man, but the sacks, that's something to take note of. You guys have 33 so far on the year. 40 is the goal. That's also the record from 1992. How do you feel about that, knowing where that goal is and where you guys are right now and the way you're playing?
Well, I don't know if Coach Rule actually set the goal because that was the record, or I think it's more numbers-wise, but we actually have a board, if you've seen in the hallway, and it's, you know, the race to 40, and that's to get those 40 sacks. And, you know, whenever teams do that, you win a lot of football games. And so we're getting close. I mean, we've been disruptive. And the great thing, whenever you are an odd front, you can bring so many people from so many different places. I mean, last week, Blake Lynch had a sack with Terrell Bernard. You know, Bravion Roy, you know, jumped in there and had a sack. So you're getting a lot of different people with a lot of sacks. And that helps because you can disguise in an odd front and you can bring a lot of different people from different ways.
Absolutely. You also have a lot of guys getting a lot of turnovers.
Yes.
Yes. So you guys are leading, you're second in the nation with 12 consecutive takeaways per game.
Right.
As Mr. Turnover Man, I mean, back in the summer, there were guys coming to media availability just saying, man, Coach McGuire was texting us last night, turnovers. That was it, just turnovers.
Yeah, they get a text every day.
I love that.
They get some kind of video or they get some kind of something every day about turnovers and how you can win football games. Actually, the DC at OU did a huge study that if you can create 24 turnovers, then that equals 9 wins for the most part, you know, and so you know, and you got to have a good football team with it. But our goal each week, if you ask the guys, we're trying to get 3 turnovers. That's kind of the magic number. And every time we get one, I'm sprinting out on the field saying, you know, that's one. And
putting stickers on helmets.
We're putting stickers on helmets and getting fired up. But it started in camp. We talked all summer long about being obsessed and getting addicted to those turnovers and getting excited. We call it partying on the numbers. You see our guys get really excited and jump around when we do have the turnover, and it's the great equalizer. No matter who you're playing, when you can create those turnovers, then you give, well, you think about it, you give Charlie Brewer an extra series to go out and play on offense, and the offense that we have, Mims, another snap to be out there. Turnovers are a huge deal, and we're creating them, and we're going to keep creating them because the guys believe in it.
They're important no matter who you play. This week you have Texas, a pretty high-powered offense, led by Sam Ellinger. But you guys really haven't had to play Sam. He didn't play 2 years ago. Last year he was hurt, and so Shane Buechele got in there. But now knowing that you're about to get a healthy Sam, how do you combat that and force those turnovers against a quarterback like him?
Well, he's a great football player. I mean, one of the best in the nation, and does a phenomenal job. One of the best thing he does is he creates first downs with his feet. You know, he can really change the game by running the football. He's a physical kid. He's 230-something pounds. He plays the game the way you're supposed to play it. He's a real physical kid. We haven't got to play him except for that first couple series, but we've watched plenty of film on him. We're going to have to do a good job of a little bit like we did last week, but do a good job of having a spy on him. We're going to have to do a good job of if we're just rushing 3, we've got a level rush. We can't just run past him or get pushed past him and let him have lanes to step up and throw in or step up and run in. And then we got to make it a physical football game. Everybody out there has got to know that they're in it sounds crazy, but they're in a football game, that they're getting hit, and that we're flying around on defense.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to continue to talk about this defense and how you guys plan on stopping Texas in just a few minutes. But we're about to take a break. That's Baylor's Coaches Show, live from Rudy's and brought to you by Jim Turner Chevrolet of McGregor, the official Chevy dealer of Baylor Athletics, your Central Texas Chevy truck headquarters. Check out the November fall savings at Jim Turner Chevrolet. Stop in today or visit them online, turnerchevy.com, for the best deal on your Chevrolet. And Coach Rule said he took advantage of that.
There we go.
We'll be right back. That'll be a good. We can. How old is he? Is it? How old is he?
He's 20. He's
What year?
red shirt sophomore.
Okay. Yeah. So we can talk about what it's like. We say Baylor family, but for you that goes a little farther.
Well, now Coach Rod's got one. You know, he's got his son. Yeah. Coach Rodriguez's son's here. Yeah. Who's Prosper play tomorrow night?
I think Mesquite.
That'd be a good game.
I think. Welcome back to the Baylor Coaches Show, live from Rudy's. We are here with Associate Head Football Coach Joey McGuire, specifically defensive ends, but you work with Coach Ocam pretty much on that whole line, right?
Right.
How's
And I
that
learn
going?
something every day. I mean, Coach Ocam's incredible. I mean, you think about it, he played the position, and high school played the position for a national championship and a team that we're going to have to play on Saturday, and then was drafted in the NFL. So he's great experience. He's a real smart guy. I knew him before because he recruited us at Rice. Whenever he was at Rice, he recruited us at Cedar Hill. I love him. And those guys are lucky to have him.
You've switched positions. We've talked about Blake Lynch. He's one of those guys that has really just put it all out there for this team. He's bounced around. I think he's had starts at 5 different positions. To have an athlete like that as one of your senior leaders, what does that do for the younger guys who are coming in? What kind of example is that for them?
Well, I think the biggest thing is he's shown great trust in the coaching staff. And so that goes a long way with the young guys, a long way, because he was a great receiver. I mean, our first year he did a great job for us at receiver. We had some guys get hurt. He had to play corner. He's had to play safety. I mean, I think he's played running back and quarterback before we got here. So he's done it all. And for him to have the faith in us to go out there and play that Sam linebacker, he's playing really well. And I think he sees that, he gets better every single week. And I think that he sees that his future, on Sundays can be on that defensive side of the ball. And it's tough, too, because if you're an offensive guy, you have that offensive mentality, and it's hard to transition to defense. But he's done it because, one thing, he's a football guy. He's very intelligent. I mean, he's already graduated, and he's very intelligent as a football guy, X's and O's wise.
And that's something Coach Rule's pretty proud of. You guys
Oh, yeah.
all, the graduation.
Very, very happy with that.
Getting them out here with a couple of degrees at least. But you said as the offensive guy mindset, just knowing that and having switched over to defense, how do you feel that he's going to be able, because Texas kind of mixes up some stuff, whether
Right.
it's, sometimes they're quick tempo, sometimes they're just going to pound it right down the middle. So having him and all the rest of the guys kind of be able to read that and decipher, what are your thoughts on how you guys are going to approach a team like Texas that kind of mixes it all up for you?
Well, we've had some teams like that. Texas Tech was a little bit like that, tempo, and then try to really run the ball. West Virginia was like that, tempo, and then really try to pound the ball. I think I learn every day from one of the best defensive coordinators that's coached the game, and Phil Snow, and he has them ready. We work on the tempo and getting back to your position and getting your eyes over to the sideline so you can get the defensive call. And then if it slows down, we'll be able to sub some guys and give some guys breaks. It's good to have that depth, but it's also good to have really smart football players, and we do. They come in and study, and they don't have to be there on Mondays. They're off on Mondays, but you're going to find guys in the building watching film on their own and getting ready for the games. And so it helps having a guy like Blake Lynch who's played offense and defense and has an idea of what's going to come at him. Jordan Williams, who's played a ton of games for us, like we've talked about Terrell Bernard. James Lynch is a football guy. He loves to watch film. He and Coach Rule usually watch film together on Mondays, and just on his own. He goes in there and says, Coach, can we watch a little bit just so we can hear Rule's ideas of how to rush the passer and everything. So it's one of those guys. We have a bunch of guys that love football, that are smart, and they bought into what we do. And so it's going to be interesting because we're going to see a lot of different things because they've had great success with their tempo game, and then they're going to have to, I would think you're going to have to try to run the football. That might be with the quarterback, but we're going to come out and we're going to see that too. So we got to be ready for everything.
Up at Iowa State this past weekend, they had a couple of situations where, Iowa State thought they had it in the bag when it's something like 3rd and 35, but somehow Texas able to convert on those big third downs. Going back to what Coach Rule talked about earlier this week is the emphasizing we got to get off the field on third down. How has the preparation been to kind of transition that to get back to getting off the field and getting Charlie and all those offensive guys back out there for that one extra play like you talked about earlier? Well,
it started. We had a unit meeting on Tuesday with the defense, and Coach Snow read off we're first in turnovers, or we're first in sacks, or we're first in yards per play, in the Big 12. One thing that we haven't done a great job with the last few weeks is getting off the field on third down. And so showing that, getting them to understand it, what we can do better as players and coaches, and what we have to do. And it's almost like we talked about earlier with the turnovers. We got to be kind of addicted and obsessed with getting off the field on third down. And that starts with knowing the down and distance. It starts with doing your job and playing the correct defense. And then we got to get to the quarterback on third down, and it'd be great to create some turnovers on third down also.
Looking from your perspective at this Texas team, they have a huge defensive line.
Right.
How do you think it's going to be best for us to approach this game and attack that from our offensive side?
Well, I think you're probably going to see a little tempo out of us too. I mean, anytime you got big guys, you want to run them. You want to get them sideline to sideline and see how many plays in a row that they really want to play as hard as they can play. And so it's going to be interesting. It's always like this whenever you're playing a good football team. Who can impose whose will? Who can come out and run the football? Who can control the line of scrimmage? And whoever does that usually wins the game. And so we're going to try to do that. I know they're going to try to do that. So we've got to really get after them up front. I thought our offensive line played one of their better games last week, and I think you're going to see that continue.
Well, looking forward to it. Real fast, we have a first place foods. That's a darn good pickle question for you. And I think you might know this person who submitted it. Garrett would like to know if you have a favorite player, and if so, who might that be?
Well, it might be Blake Lynch, but I'm going to say I'm going to say Garrett McGuire. I mean, it's so much fun, and Actually, Kent Johnson and I were talking last night at practice because I said how awesome. I know the year didn't end the way you want it to with Clay, but how awesome is it to be with him every day and see this. And, you know, Coach Rod will probably talk about it too. I mean, he's fixing to get to coach his son.
Yeah.
There's nothing like it. The experience you get and the memories that you get to make. And he wants to be a coach, and I'm sure I'm going to work for him someday. No
well,
doubt.
thank you so much for coming
bet.
out here. We really appreciate it, and we wish you the best of luck this week against Texas. We will be back after this with head coach of baseball, Steve Rodriguez. That and more up next on Baylor Coaches Show, live from Rudy's.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
Welcome back to Rudy's on the Circle for the Baylor Coaches Show, live from Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue. It is now time for the Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics Sports Tip. When it comes to orthopedics, Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics brings the home team advantage to Central Texans and is bringing today's sports tip to us. Recovery is the key to give you the strength and energy needed to continue to play at a high level. Keep up with proper nutrition, hydration, and make sure you're getting enough rest to allow your body time to recover. This message brought to us by Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine Orthopedics. From injury prevention to enhanced recovery, team up with us. We are now here with head baseball coach Steve Rodriguez. Thank you so much for coming out here and spending some time with us tonight.
Thank you, Brooke. I appreciate it. It's always fun to be here.
Yes, well, your first time this year, correct?
That's correct.
Well, I'm so honored.
Normally I'm the opening act for Kim Mulkey, but apparently she's got something bigger going on here.
She's got something
tonight.
going on right now. Yep, about to tip off here in a little bit. Well, let's just talk a little bit about first, just wrapping up last year's season. It was very successful. You guys went to the regionals, I believe, for the third straight year. What does that mean for you guys moving forward into this year?
I think it was a great year for us. It's really rare that you have the opportunity to have 3 All-Americans on your team, which we did last year with Shea Langoliers, Davis Wenzel, and Cody Bradford. But at the same time, it's also pretty rare that you have each of them get hurt throughout the year to where we kind of lose them for a certain segment of it. And Cody Bradford had surgery to where he wasn't able to pitch for us a lot last year. Shea Langoliers was one of the most remarkable recovery stories I've ever heard in regards to have his surgery And then he came back within 3 weeks of it, and then being able to play like he did was really impressive. And then Davis at the end of the season, which one really hurt, was an oblique strain, and was very difficult for him to kind of get back going, just because everything he did with that was just painful. But he was able to get back for the regional, and being able to get to where we did was really exciting. I mean, it was really talented. It was an older team, which was really fun, and being able to see some of those guys have the success they did, and at the same time get drafted and stuff like that made it really fun for a lot of us.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about that draft. It was your first round draft picks, and you had 2 of them. First time Baylor's ever had 2 go in the first round, Shea and Davis. What does that mean for, I mean, obviously for them, they're doing great things out there and carrying on the Baylor legacy, but for you guys as the Baylor program to have that kind of get to write it on the board and say, look what we have helped produce, and just the overall, you know, kind of oomph, I guess we can say, that it gives the team.
Well, it's just great coaching. Let's just be honest with it. Shea was very talented when we got him, and he's one of those guys who turned down a pretty lucrative offer out of high school to come to Baylor because he always wanted to go to Baylor. He always wanted to go to college, and that was something that he was really steadfast on. And he bet on himself. Everybody can go, oh, my gosh, you turned down a lot of money to be able to go and do that. Well, he just quadrupled something possibly what he was offered. And so being able to do that, I think, speaks volumes to what the college experience and what you're able to obtain from your experience, from your coaching, from being able to kind of just learn a little bit about yourself. You know, in the draft, you know, once you go out to pro ball, you're kind of on your own. And so, you know, our job as coaches is to make sure that we prepare them for that next level in all capacities, being able to teach them how to take care of themselves, you know, with their nutrition, with their strength conditioning, how to sleep. So all the things that, you know, Baylor Scott and White, yes, all the things that they talked about, that's what we are constantly teaching our guys on a daily basis, because we know once they go out there, it's going to be on their own. You know, and Davis was a guy who, coming from the Southern California area, it was a really great story because he wanted to go to school in Texas somewhere, and he went to a lot of different camps here in Texas, and we saw him. We're like, man, there's something about the young man we really like. He's very athletic, can play a lot of different positions, and you know, and then all of a sudden the ball always found his glove, and he was really good, and he had great barrel-to-ball technique, and a lot of teams really liked that. He didn't strike out a lot, didn't swing and miss a lot, and those are a big deal for a lot of people, especially for offensive-minded people. So I think he is probably one of the bigger success stories that a program can see, because he's kind of one of those guys who, I don't want to say a no-name, but not a lot of people knew about him. And then he comes here, played 3 or 4 different positions for us, and then he settled in at third base and became an All-American there.
Yeah, All-American. And you talked a little bit about him wanting to come to Texas, and people joke he is probably the most Texan Californian they've ever met. And then just to kind of put a nice bow on it, he gets drafted to the Rangers.
That's
right
correct.
Here in Texas.
Yeah, the funny thing about it is that he comes in, he's got a mullet, he's got cut-off sweatshirts that he doesn't match whatsoever. He's got, you know, just odd. He has like a shirt that's like an American flag. I mean, just some things that you just don't really kind of typically see in Southern California. But you know, he had like a beat-up truck when he was here, and I think those were just great. I think it was just for him, it was just really relaxing to be able to come here and just kind of be the person he wanted to be.
There you go. And I just thought, didn't he get engaged recently?
He did. He
just
got engaged. Yes, saw him and his fiancée the other day. They're very happy people right now. Yes.
That's fantastic. Well, someone else who's a little bit happy is Nick Lofton, and we can touch on this right before we go to break, but he had a very successful summer playing for Team USA. Before we go to break, what does that do for an athlete like that? I know you've had your own experiences with them, but what kind of opportunity is that?
Team USA is one of those opportunities where you get to play with the absolute elite in our sport at that age level. You know, so mostly freshmen and sophomores are able to go play for Team USA, represent your country, and there's only 22 to 25 of them that are going to be able to do that, and it's pretty select position players and pitchers. And Nick went in there and had an opportunity to have one of the greatest experiences of his life, I'll be honest, because you get to go and do a lot of things, but at the same time you're treated first class, and you get to travel all around the world and play the game you love. Absolutely.
Well, we will talk a little bit about that more after this quick break, but we are having a great time here with a great crowd talking about the upcoming Baylor baseball season. We'll be back with more live from Rudy's The Baylor Coaches Show. Yes. Yeah, I just talked to them about it. We're going to bump them up a little bit. Thank you. Welcome back to the Baylor Coaches Show, live from Rudy's on the Circle in Waco. I am here with head baseball coach Steve Rodriguez, and we were just talking about the impact of the opportunity that it is to play for Team USA. Nick Lofton, the now junior, got to go over and play overseas with them and had a lot of success doing that. But you've had your own experiences with Team USA. Kind of tell us a little bit about your time with that program.
First of all, Team USA, they just do a great job. Everything they do, from inviting kids to their facility to taking care of them there to how they travel and how they play, it's really impressive just how they make you want to play for them or coach for them just because they do such a great job. And so I had an opportunity to play for them a couple years when I was in college, 91 and 92, the Pan Am year and the Olympic year. Then I had an opportunity to coach a couple years ago. Where we had like Alex Bregman and Dansby Swanson on our team, which made me a really good coach at that point because it seemed
just a couple of big names.
just it was really easy for me to just go, hey, can you do this? And they were able to do it. And I was like, wow, there you go. So when you're able to go and coach young men like that, it's really fun. And I'm so glad that Nick, I know Shay and Cody both had an opportunity to go and play for Team USA, and the fact that Nick was able to do that. And when I was talking to Eric Campbell, the guy who runs Team USA, I was talking to him about Nick, and he was like, hey, well, can he do this? And I'm like, look, if you ask him to do it, he'll be able to do it for you. And I talked to Nick about it. I said, hey, they may need you to pitch a little bit because they only had a 22-man roster, and so you have to really be careful with the amount of pitches guys are throwing, and you need some versatility with it. And Nick was able to play, I think he played 3 different infield positions, 2 different outfield positions, and he was also a reserve pitcher for him. And just the sheer ability to him to be as diverse as he is with his skill set made him so valuable to a team like that. And just talking to Coach McDonald, who was the head coach of the team, he just said it was unbelievable having a kid where if I needed to fill a spot to get his bat in the lineup, I could put him anywhere on that field, and he was going to be fine. And I said, absolutely. And just like Nick said, he'll just say yes to everything and just go play it. You know what it looks like. You know how it's supposed to be. So athletically, just go and do what you can do, and he did a great job of that.
Aren't you so glad he's coming right back?
Yes, I am.
Talking about another neat opportunity, you just kind of mentioned Bregman, but you guys got to go to the World Series not too long ago and watch that. What was that like to get to share that experience with your team?
Being able to take our guys, that's one thing that's amazing about Baylor is we have these opportunities to give our kids these awesome experiences, and being able to take them to playoff games like that, that's ultimately the pinnacle of what you're trying to do. And being able to see that environment, watching athletes do what they do at the most elite level I always feel it's just a great experience and something that some kids you'll never get an opportunity to do. But the opportunity that Baylor gives us to do that, those types of environmental things with regards to experiences are just absolutely amazing. And I know our guys absolutely loved it, being able to go down there, watch a game, just seeing a game go into the bottom of the ninth and being able to get it's pretty special.
Something else that's pretty special is the fact that you guys get to go down there in February and actually play at Minute Maid for the Shriners tournament. February 28th through March 1st. Just what are your thoughts on that tournament and the fact that this year it's switching to where it's back to, instead of just all Texas, a little bit of the Big 12 SEC Challenge. So I believe you guys are LSU, Missouri, and Arkansas.
Correct.
And OU and Texas will also be down there. But what are you looking forward to getting to play programs like LSU, Arkansas, and things of that nature right down the road in Houston?
Well, what's great is when you're playing LSU down there, it's like a home game for them. When I think last time we played, there was about 15 to 20,000 LSU fans in Minute Maid. So for our guys, it's a great experience being able to play in a major league stadium in front of a crowd that is going to be pretty impressive. And so we're going to go out there and really excited for our guys to be able to go and, not to mention, play quality teams, but in a big league environment like that just makes it really special.
And you guys had a special moment because the tournament is based for Shriners Hospitals for Children, and you guys were able to have Tyler, who is a patient at the hospital, come visit you guys a couple of weekends ago. Walk us through kind of what you guys were able to do for Tyler and how he's now an honorary part of the Baylor baseball team.
I'll tell you what, he's a pretty impressive young man. He's had, I think it's close to 18 surgeries.
Wow.
He had it was over around Thanksgiving. It was almost a year ago now, where he had a bonfire accident and burned about 90% of his body.
Oh my.
And he's gone through a lot of different surgeries, and just unbelievably impressed with his personality, how he views things, the things that he's doing. He came out, and our team was just able to embrace him and just have a lot of fun with him. We gave him some gifts that are obviously Baylor-sized stuff, and but just watching him just kind of smile and go and have a good time and being able to just be one of the guys was really special. And just a neat young man, and his parents were absolutely awesome. So being able to have him out to just kind of be a part of us, and having our guys talk to him, and just seeing the energy and the smiles that he was just being able to cast over all of us was really impressive.
Well, and I'm sure I've heard he's kind of social media buddies with a couple of the guys on the team and getting really excited with that schedule announcement that they're going to be able to – he's going to get to join the team again when you guys head down to Houston in the end of February. But you guys also will visit the hospital, correct?
Correct, yeah. We'll head down there the day before to practice, and we'll make sure we have some time to go and visit some of the patients down there. We'll place a makeshift baseball game in their corridor area that they have set up for us, and it's just fun to be able to have the kids just be a part of it. And usually there's two teams that are able to participate, so it'll be like us, maybe LSU or Arkansas or somebody. And what's great is at that point, we're not competitors. We're just people just having a good time with some kids who are going through some pretty tough times. And watching our guys just kind of put down their cool card a little bit and be able to go and just have some fun and be a kid again is pretty special.
I love that. Well, we have a First Place Foods That's a Darn Good pickle. They actually have those at Rudy's, so you should be sure to get some before you leave. Put your order in. But we have a question from Leanne. Leanne, somewhere out there, raise your hand for us. Maybe, yep. Hey, there you are. So this says, we're ready. What a way to start a question. When will the 2020 schedule be released? We talked a little bit about the tournament, but when's the rest of the schedule going to be released?
The schedule will be released early December when we get ready to announce our season ticket sales.
All right.
So it'll be announced probably here in the next week or two.
All right. So, Leanne, you have a couple of weeks. That's going to be a great Christmas present, some baseball season tickets. I'm thinking that's a pretty good thing right there.
It's going to be a real good thing. It's going to be a lot of fun this year, yes.
All right. Well, a lot of us are excited about the upcoming season, so let's kind of transition real quick into the upcoming season. Looking at your pitching staff, coming back very solid. How do you feel about that?
I'll tell you what, we have a veteran pitching staff, which for us is always a big thing. It's difficult enough going through the Big 12 with any arms, but being able to have some veteran arms going out there for us is going to be pretty special. With Jimmy Winston, Paul Dickens, Hayden Kettler, Tyler Thomas, and we have a couple young kids also who I think are going to be falling in the mix for us a little bit. It's going to be really nice, and then being able to go into the bullpen and have some veteran arms coming out of there, knowing that we're going to put them in some situations that aren't very friendly sometimes. They know they've gone through pretty much everything there is, so they'll be able to jump right in and have no problems.
Perfect. Well, we are just getting started here with head coach Steve Rodriguez of Baylor Baseball. We will be back to talk more about this year's team and their surprise schedule showing up in December when we get back from this quick break. We're live from Rudy's for the Baylor Coaches Show.
That's going to leave you about 2 minutes for your close. You can go 6, but not more than 6 for this segment.
I'm good with like 5 minutes.
Okay.
Chris. Yes. It does? Okay.
What do you say?
It needs to be a little longer than that.
So what, 6?
He's going to do some math. Do we not have another question? I was told last time I had to do 3. So I'm good with just 2. Okay. Just making sure.
So, okay, we'll just be ready for that last 7 minutes real quick. That's what I want that to be. Be ready for that last 7.
He said 7 minutes. Okay, let's do that. He said to do 7 minutes, and then that will give me 2 minutes at the end. We're just going to talk a lot about the upcoming team, like your team, your guys, and then a couple of your new guys. Feel free to go as detailed as you want on some of the new ones.
Okay.
Talk about the alumni game. That's how we're going to tie in Bill Rigney and his dad. And then we can talk about the recruits that just signed.
Okay.
Welcome back to the Baylor Coaches Show, live from Rudy's Real Texas Barbecue on the Circle in Waco. I'm Brooke Bednarz in for John Morris, the voice of the Bears, and I am here with head baseball coach Steve Rodriguez. We just talked a little bit about the veteran pitching staff that you guys are carrying this year, but let's talk a little bit about another senior leader that you have, and that's the guy replacing Mr. Shea Langoliers at catcher, Andy Thomas. What does he bring to this whole team, program, you name it?
Well, the amazing thing about Andy is that he's an unbelievable receiver, and he was just put behind a young man who had just freak show talent and howitzer for an arm, but he was able to learn and still be able to get better while during this process, and so he's going to be anchoring down our defense behind the plate this year, and very knowledgeable young man, very intuitive in regards to like his knowledge of the game and being able to see things, predict things, and he's going to be an amazing coach if he ever wants to do that in the future, just because his knowledge of the game and his ability to predict things and instincts are phenomenal, and so he's just done a great job for us. Just helping some of the younger guys along the way, because we have a couple younger guys on the team now behind the plate who are, it's a big step going from high school to college, especially behind the plate when you're managing and doing a lot of different things, and then at the same time you're trying to figure out your academic studies as well. So watching Andy kind of work with those young men has been a great sight for all of us, and knowing that they're in good hands.
Well, and we got to see him a little bit because, like you said earlier when we were talking about the draft, when Shea Langoliers was injured, Andy is the one who stepped up and kind of held the fort down for him. So to just have that resiliency of this team and to know that the depth is there, no matter what their age, that's got to be comforting.
Well, it's nice because you have Andy who's going to be behind the plate. You have obviously Nick Lofton who's going to be at short. You have Chase Wesner at first base. And so those are some pretty big positions where we have some returners coming back. And for me, that's always really nice. Then you have, Davion Downey and Hunter Say and Mac Mueller, who's going to be in the outfield, and Ryan Bertelsmann as well. I mean, we have some veteran guys who are able to kind of step in. And for me, I always tell people a successful season, you need those seniors to have good senior years. It's that last year you want them to lay it all out there. And, like Richard Cunningham, Cole Herring, Josh Bissonette, those guys had phenomenal senior years. And that's how you should go out. And so that's what I want them to have, is be able to go out there and be able to play the way they're capable of playing and enjoy it, and just know that there's nothing to hold back now, and being able to go out there and lead a team into a postseason just like they're capable of doing. Those
senior leaders are going to be great to have, but they're also leading a bunch of new guys that have big shoes to fill. Tell us a little bit about this class, this freshman class, and what they bring to the group.
Well, the funny thing is we lost a lot of firepower last year. Like I said, with Richard Cunningham in center and Cole Herring in the outfield and Davis Wenzel and Shea Langoliers. I mean, there's a lot of firepower
hitters,
offensively
great,
that we're going to be losing. But we have some young men who are able to step in right now. Jared McKenzie is going to be in the outfield for us. He's going to be a phenomenal player. And so we're going to have some guys like that who I think are going to be able to sprinkle in a little bit. We have Kyle Nevin and Ricky Martinez. Ricky had a little bit of playing time last year. But at the same time, he was behind Davis Wenzel, so, he has an opportunity to jump in there as well. We have a transfer who might be able to anchor down second base as well. And so it's going to be fun to watch everybody kind of fight it out, in January and February to see where those starting roles are going to fill. But at the same time, knowing that we have some great backups along the way in case something does happen, I feel pretty comfortable with where we're going to be able to put those guys.
Another one is a pitcher from right here in Waco, Midway graduate, Will Rigney. He has kind of a unique, or had a unique start, because you just had a Baylor alumni baseball game, and I heard he pitched for you, but had a kind of an interesting first batter.
The first batter, absolutely. So as we have our alumni game, Charlie Rigney, who is obviously a Baylor baseball alumni, a catcher back in the day, I will say. We told him, I go, this might be the only time you're going to have an opportunity to face your son at this level and be able to do it. And so we made sure that he led off, and we had Will throwing, and Will was touching about 94, and Charlie was swinging at about 84. But it was awesome just because those are great moments. Those are the moments where, as a coach and as dad, you get to see that and you go, man, that's pretty special to be able to see that and know that everybody is healthy, nobody got hurt, but at the same time, being able to face your son, that's got to be pretty cool.
That does have to be pretty cool. And so, who won that battle? Was it a strikeout, or
Will Rigney won that with very little contest. But at the same time, for Charlie's age, I'll tell you what, it was actually really impressive watching him take some hacks up there. It was pretty good.
It's got to be pretty neat to have a catcher, and just kind of talk about this, because even John, your pitching coach, Coach Strauss, was a catcher. Now he's working with the pitchers. Charlie was a catcher and now raised a pitcher. Can you talk a little bit about that dynamic? That's something that a lot of people appreciate, but when you get to see it kind of family-wise, that's got to be something special.
Well, what's neat is a lot of people don't know is Coach Strauss actually had a chance to lead a team to Omaha as a catcher. So being able to, and he's a student of the game, just watching the pitching coaches and people talk to their pitchers, and he just learned, and that's what great coaches do, is they're constantly learning. But the thing is, Charlie, I don't know, had much of a choice. When your son grows up to be 6'6", there's very limited positions that you're going to be able to play. It's either going to be a pitcher or first base, and watching Will throw the ball the way he does, I don't think that was really a difficult decision for them.
Yeah. Another thing that didn't seem too difficult was 15 guys putting ink to paper to make it official that they're going to be Baylor Bears in the 2021 season. That's a great class. How are you feeling about that?
Really impressive class. Really excited about some of the arms that we have coming in. We have a lot of upperclassmen arms who we have a chance to lose either from the draft or being seniors this year. So I think we did a great job in filling in those roles. We have one of the top catchers coming in. Some really talented, some kids who can play a lot of different positions as well. But really excited. We have some of the top arms in the state of Texas coming in, and not to mention one of the top catchers as well.
There you go. If that doesn't get you excited for baseball season in the next few years, I'm not sure what will. We can't thank you enough for stopping by and chatting with us, and we're all looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. I
appreciate it.
We'll be right back with more from the Baylor's Coaches Show live at Rudy's. Did you find that song or no? Okay, that's fine. Are these right? Did they switch them? Did they? Welcome back to the Baylor Coaches Show live from Rudy's. I'm Brooke Bednarz in for the voice of the Bears, John Morris, tonight. And just over here to my left is Mr. Jerry Hill. You might recognize him from some of his celebratory dances. But also, we just finished up talking about Nick Lofton and that time that he had with Team USA. And Jerry just released the Champion Tribune on Nick Lofton earlier today. So if you want to head on over to BaylorBears.com, you can check that out as well. But now let's take a look at our upcoming schedule that we have. Baylor basketball, number 24, had a huge win today in their Myrtle Beach Invitational opener. So tomorrow they will play either Utah or Coastal Carolina. On Saturday, November 23rd, we have that big matchup that we just talked about with Coach McGuire. Number 13-14, Baylor football hosting Texas for Senior Day. Kickoff is at 2:30, but we want to see you there at 1:30. Baylor volleyball also has a big match against Kansas State in Manhattan. You can stream it on ESPN+. On Tuesday, Baylor volleyball heads to West Virginia with a 5 p.m. start. And then on Thursday, our women's basketball team is going to be eating Thanksgiving dinner in the U.S. Virgin Islands. They'll play Washington State at 4:45 p.m. On Friday, they will then take on Indiana as a part of that continual U.S. Virgin Island Paradise Jam. And then next Saturday, football will be in Kansas to play the Jayhawks. Our women's basketball team will play South Carolina with Miss Taya Cooper playing her former team. And volleyball will host their Senior Day at the Farrell Center against TCU at 2 p.m. Well, thank you so much for watching, tuning, or streaming. We appreciate it. Live from Rudy's, the Baylor Coaches Show.